President Chartrand, thanks for being with us. What are your hopes and expectations for the upcoming meeting with Pope Francis?
Well, it's twofold. One, our main team, of course, is going to hopefully convince the Pope to actually apologize to what was done to Indigenous people in Canada. But the second piece to that particular request is to ask them to do it in Canada, not from the Holy See or from the St. Peter's. And I think it's going to be not from across the ocean. We want him on our land and our soils to come directly here to show his serious and true commitment that this needs to be done and the healing needs to start to happen. The second part of our visit also is to inquire. As you know, Métis Nation has a strong affiliation with the Catholic Church. We've been with the Catholic Church since even the creation of this province in 1870, where Father Richard was representing Riel in the negotiations of bringing Manitoba to the Federation. So our relationship goes a long way, and a lot of us are still churchgoers in that concept. And especially when you have funerals and you have baptisms and weddings and different events that happen in the Métis communities, and the church still plays a very important role. And one of the things that we're very concerned about as Catholics and as the Métis Nation is that the churches are shutting down, it looks like, across Western Canada. And it leaves a vacancy, a big hole that'll be left there in our communities when we have funerals, for example. Dr. alone just had 4 in 1 week, 2 weeks ago. And it wasn't we had to search desperately to find the priest to cover all of that because there's a rotation priest only covering. So I want to raise that with the Pope to say, is there a plan to revive this? Although we have a history we've got to fix and some horrific history we've got to fix. We need to also look towards the future. What is the future going to look like when we have our young people today committing suicide? And they may need a priest to help them to stop that from happening. That could be a very pivotal action that would take place if the priest was in the community working with the families and communities across our homeland. So those are 2 big themes that we plan to raise with him. But the most important is to bring the Pope here with an apology to all Indigenous people and to Canada as a whole.
And sadly, today we're learning of the discovery of more unmarked graves near Cranbrook, BC. There have been calls to cancel Canada Day. Do you think celebrations should be called off?
Well, I think differently on that. I think we need to look at our history without a doubt. We can't ignore. We can't change history. We all have to understand that. We need to reflect for sure. This country needs to reflect what it did to Indigenous people, but we have to look towards the future. Our Indigenous people, both Métis and First Nation and Inuit, played a very pivotal role in helping build this country. And we look at what it is. We are proud of our country. We know many of our young men and boys that took off overseas to defend a country that they loved and to give their lives and never came home. They're still buried in foreign soil. So when we look at our country as a whole, yes, there's a lot of pain. There's a lot of anger. There's a lot of hurt right now. But we also know we have to build a future. We need to move forward. One of the things I was proud of that happened just yesterday was the Citizen Hope system that takes place now, where every new Canadian must acknowledge, must understand the role that Indigenous people play in Confederation, this country. And that can't stop. That's a change maker that's happening, where Indigenous people are coming forward. They can never do this again to us, never. We're too strong, we're too outspoken, we're educated. They'll never do what they did to us back in the residential school era in the 60s school. Never. We'll never allow it. So we need to look towards the future, but we also need people to understand this is our country. We helped build this country, and we need to be proud of this country. As I said, people gave their lives for it.
All right, President Chartrand, that's all the questions we had for you today. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you very much.